wait, stop. He sells on the Pacers that he's talked hype about all season, and then buys the 76ers that we have trashed all season.
They got the generation of chatter on Twitter everywhere, and I'm pissed I'm giving it to them, but damn it needs to be talked about.
Starting to become big-time free agents, granted, but in their childhoods, in the early 2000s, were the Knicks ever good? No. Welcome back to Dribbling Around, episode 19. Jayden Becker, Connor Glunt. I'm Dane Richardson. Safe to say, I'm obviously a happy man. The Lakers up 2-0 in the conference finals. We got MVP voting to talk about, and one of the biggest collapses in recent NBA history, and we're going to start right with that. The Los Angeles Clippers, a team, including myself, we all picked them to win the Western Conference. Connor, you and I picked them to win the championships. More my fault. I had them the whole season, but it's clear the chemistry didn't work out. And like I said, one of the biggest collapses in recent memory. You think of OKC in 2016. You think of the Warriors in 2016. But I'll start with you, Connor. What happened with the Clippers?
I just want to first point out, you mentioned my bracket. I'm just going to chalk that up as me going ballsy because I got so close to Jayden at the end of the regular season that I just had to put myself over the hump. I was saying Lakers all the way. I knew they were the better team than the Clippers. I didn't think the Nuggets were, though. Like, I think I even said on the record, like, Clippers in 5, and it was looking that way. And then, like, what do you know? Denver just comes back, but the Clippers also absolutely collapsed. Like, it was from the top down. You didn't get the production out of Kawhi or Paul George. Doc Rivers had another coaching collapse. Once again, how can we talk about how Doc Rivers, like, might be sinking his reputation with all these 3-1 collapses? Like, he's, I think, the only head coach to have multiple.
How many?
And he has 3.
Like 3, yeah.
3. He had one in the early 2000s. He had the one with the Clippers before. Yeah, no adjustments whatsoever. And it's like they were winning. They dominated almost every single first half of at least the first 6 games, because it was clear that Denver was going to be in it in game 7, and then they just pulled away in the second half. But the fact that the Clippers were up 16 points in an elimination game at the half, and they lost that game is completely inexcusable. And there's no one that really you can't fault them. It's just terrible. And you know what? It's going to be a tough, long offseason, and I don't think it's getting better next season.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And with the Clippers, the main problem is well, I just said to you, there was no adjustments going down the line, right? You're up 3-1 on a series, and you just kept on playing the same exact type of basketball you're playing for the past 7 games straight. And you do that, and the Nuggets did exactly what they need to do. They adjusted perfectly, and they kept on feeding that ball to Jokic and found him at the 3-point line, and really didn't have anybody to guard Jokic at the 3 because you're just shooting over everybody just because of his height, and he was sinking. And, you know, if Jokic, maybe if he wasn't making those shots, obviously you're going down a different path, and the Clippers probably are moving on, but the Nuggets got hot and continue to stay hot, and now the Clippers are gone, and it's really crazy to see how not only has the collapse shown on the court, but now off the court. Reports coming out that Paul George, after his Game 7 post-game speech or meeting with the team, there's a lot of eye rolls and bewilderment. And, you know, that's not what you want to see from a team that was set up and supposed to be going for a championship. And now they're going to have to try to do the same thing next year. But now there's a lot of talks as well as some trades going to happen for another big piece. And you really have to wonder the path of the Clippers now going forward, because not only did they just lose in the most embarrassing way possible, other than a sweep, but they really just it was disappointing. It was more than upsetting. It was really disappointing.
And a couple things. Both of you made some good points. Connor, you said from the top bottom, no one was consistent. I mentioned how that depth was going to win them the NBA Finals. Obviously, it didn't. Where was that? Montrezl Harrell, Lou Williams, they sort of all over the place. And Jayden, you mentioned you didn't mention Doc Rivers, but you were talking about Paul George and the eye rolling and things like that. There was no team chemistry. Yeah. No team chemistry at all. And Stephen,
that's what happens when you load management a little too much, right?
Maybe a little bit. And Stephen A mentioned it. Paul George, oh, he's in danger of becoming the next Dwight Howard. No, I think that's a little bit of a
I
stretch.
think it's a stretch.
I
It's
think that is a
completely
stretch.
different story. It's a different storyline.
100%. But I think both of them have 2-year deals with a player option in their third. If this doesn't work out next year, and they have all the pieces to do it defensively, like I said, on paper, and I know, Jayden, you don't like that term, and I don't think any of us do because you need to see it on the court. But defensively, they are so loaded, and they have 2 proven scorers. It just doesn't make sense to me. They had 2 proven scorers, sort of to say, in the regular season. Paul George, crappy Game 7. I know he's probably going back in your
And
stick.
Kawhi.
Yeah,
and
they
Kawhi.
combined. I said.
I apologize.
They combined. They
going.
combined for 24 for Kobe. They just had to, man. It was as a matter of fact. They combined for 24 points in Game 7. That's what you got to do, baby, to honor up the big man. So,
Jayden, I apologize for that point. And does anyone remember back in the VIC radio show when we were talking about Ithaca
Bard?
basketball?
Was it
And
Bard?
Connor
Yeah.
goes Bard like 0-24, and Connor slyly goes, "Did it for Kobe,"
Did it for
and we
Kobe.
just laughed.
I
for
think
like
it was
3
like
minutes.
mid-February too, so it might have been a little
Yeah.
too soon.
that was
but
too soon. I think it still is too soon. I apologize for that, but
It's never gonna
it's
not be too soon.
But listen, it was honestly, when I said Kawhi, I feel like willing a team in a Game 7, I meant that in like the fourth quarter, like not being able to be that guy that maybe makes that final shot. He's done it before, but that was on a very lucky bounce in Philadelphia, And we just saw throughout the whole game an utter collapse from the top 2 guys, and that was really a true shame for all the Clippers team.
I don't think I had as much fun watching from a neutral perspective a team really lose because,
Yeah.
I mean, I did enjoy the Cavs coming back from 3-1, but, like, I'm from Erie, PA, so it's like, yeah, I kind of have, like, the local tie to Cleveland a little bit.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't think there was such a team that was easier to hate than the Clippers. I mean, they're talking trash in the regular season
Marcus
to a
Morris.
beat-up Portland team. Marcus Morris goes after Luka and then talks shit in the Instagram comments, and then it's just Pat Bev already taking shots at Jokic, and then they there's no accountability whatsoever. Like even in the reports that followed, everyone was saying Paul George didn't take accountability. No one on that team did. Doc Rivers was in the post-game presser saying, "Oh, our guys were tired. Oh, we don't have the chemistry." That's on you, dude. You're the head coach.
Yeah.
The fact
Bingo.
that you are this Hall of Fame
Very good
guy
point.
with probably one definite Hall of Fame player on your team with Kawhi, and then a former MVP candidate in Paul George, and you couldn't beat a team that you had a 3-1 lead on in a neutral site? Like, that's just terrible.
Yeah.
And
Very good point.
it just kept coming and coming, all the hate. Like, Montrezl Harrell, Pat Bev tried to take out Jamal Murray on, like, one of the final plays of the game whenever Jokic threw a over-his-head pass.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
saw. Oh my God.
that's just disgusting.
Terrible.
It's disgusting. There's no place in that for basketball, and the fact that he tried that with 20 seconds left after the game was well over.
No place in that in the NBA.
That just tells you the type of players that there's.
No
That
place
just
in
shows
that
you
in
the
any
type of players that the Clippers have.
No
sorry.
place for that in any sport.
I don't know.
It's
I don't
not
know
like,
about that. I don't know about
Okay,
that.
listen.
I've seen a couple
well,
stuff go down the courts, street ball stuff, but like that's different.
All
Not
right,
on the
but
NBA. It's
Here's the
different.
thing. Now the argument becomes, if you think about it, and let me share my thoughts before you clap back at me on this. Everyone's saying, well, now is Kawhi one of the most overrated guys of all time in recent
No.
memory? Well, playing devil's advocate to your point, Jane, you just said no. His claim to fame in 2014, he beat LeBron with the Spurs, and that was the last run of Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Tim Duncan, and that crew. Finals MVP, put up a bunch of stats, but his claim to fame was what? Locking down LeBron, who still averaged 25 points a game in that series? And then I get he got hurt in either 2017 or 2018 against the Warriors, but he never really led his team. And then last year, yes, he did it with the Raptors, and he had that nice, beautiful shot against Philly that went in. But he beat a really injured-laden Warriors team who basically, and I will still stick to this, if Klay Thompson didn't tear his ACL in Game 6 midway through, the Warriors would have forced Game 7. I will stick by that.
Mhm.
That's an
just too
argument
many
for a different day.
hypotheticals you're playing with.
But what I'm saying is Kawhi, 2014, yes, he won Finals MVP, and then 2019, he never overcame KD. The one time he overcame LeBron, he had one of the most legendary cores ever. Other than that, what else has he overcome? He hasn't really overcome LeBron or KD in his career, if you think about it. right?
I think he'll go down on the all-time choke list along with the Falcons and the Warriors and
the
whatever.
Falcons again this week.
Yeah. Oh,
Jesus.
again, but not a football show. Not a football show. But we're gonna try this week. We were very bad last week. We're gonna try this week. But I'm talking about the Falcons in the Super Bowl. I'm talking about the Warriors blowing a 3-1 lead to LeBron and the Cavaliers. So I think Kawhi goes on that same list as among those blowing it to the Nuggets, a 3-1 lead, and a team that we expected to win the whole thing, right? So he goes on that same list, but do I call him overrated? Maybe as the best player in the league. If you're marking him as that, then yeah, I think you're overrated saying that. But as a top 5 guy, no. 100%. I think he's definitely a top 5.
Well, I mean, I think it was unfair for anyone to call him the best player in the league when A, he's not playing a full season, and B, he just had that. I'm looking at you, Dome. But because obviously you have Giannis and LeBron right there. AD is not too bad too. Probably I'd put AD above Kawhi right now, especially after this playoff performance. And I don't think that's too far-fetched.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll have to see how the Clippers do moving forward. And again, one last question before we move on to MVP voting, things like that. If the Clippers have a similar exit, whether in the second round or Western Conference Finals, to whoever that may be next season, again, Kawhi and PG have that playing option. What happens to the Clippers? Do they blow it up if this happens again next year?
Well, the window is them too, right? The window is those two players, in my opinion. It really is. If you have those two players on your team, then that is a championship window. You should be able to win a championship with those two players on your team, right? Am I correct?
Yeah.
With those two players, you should be able to win a championship.
You're not wrong.
Even with that, you also have amazing depth. So even with that, it's like, on paper, you really should win a championship. But we've seen crazier things. I'm just saying that as long as they're on the team, the championship chance is still there. You can't really put it past them because how are you going to put it past Kawhi? How are you going to put it past Paul George? I know after this season you sort of could, but with them two together, how are you going to put it past them? But I think as soon as one of them is gone, and depending on who they get back, it's over for them. Depending on who they get back, if they, let's say, a trade. But you gave away everything you could have traded. Sorry, you gave away everything you could have traded for Paul George. Right? There's no one left. Lost all your picks for the next 10 years, so my bad.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to say something that's a little bit of a hot take, but
okay.
I think their window just closed. I don't think they really have the flexibility.
No, not yet. They got it.
How do they have the flexibility?
1 more year, 2 more years.
Hold on. No, yeah, but how do they have the flexibility to change this year's roster? Because chemistry, tiredness, whatnot, it still was not enough to beat this Nuggets team. And it's the Lakers' first year together.
Yes, I was just going to say that. The Lakers have a newer team than the Clippers. Go ahead.
Exactly. So, I mean, you have to bring back Montrezl Harrell, who's probably going to get paid handsomely in free agency if he gets to the open market. I think he's gone too. So how are you replacing him? You have too many guys who might be able to walk out, and you don't have the cap space. You don't have the trade assets. You don't have the draft capital. How do they improve? It's simple. They can't, because PG's value is at an all-time low right now. And you're obviously not trading Kawhi. He's your guy. But how many trade assets do they have for players who are under contract? They don't really.
I wouldn't say the window is closed, because when I say the window is closed, I'm feeling that it's over for them. There's no shot for them to win a championship. It's really
when I say it's closed, I'm also factoring Golden State coming back next year. So
like for me, I said the Rockets windows were closed. I think the Rockets, I don't think there's a shot for them. But I still think there's a chance for the Clippers.
Do you re-sign Marcus Morris?
You have to after what you gave up for him. That's what I'm thinking.
You sort of have to.
It just doesn't make sense because I mean he worked in spurts. Like everyone went cold during that collapse, but he worked in spurts. That's undeniable.
They gave up the first, right?
They gave up a first.
Yeah.
And how many of those do they even have left?
Yeah. Good luck.
We'll see if their window's closed next season. It's going to be tough. And another team, the Clippers obviously disappointed. Another team that disappointed, Jayden, we've well documented this, was the Milwaukee Bucks, but they did get some nice news lately. Giannis Antetokounmpo, his second consecutive MVP. This one, I believe, a little bit closer. I could be wrong, but a lot of people, some people not happy. LeBron said publicly that he was robbed. I don't know. I know it's a regular season award. I'll talk a little bit about that. Jayden, you seem like you have an early opinion. Let's go to you.
Regular season award. So Giannis, 100% without a shadow of a doubt, my opinion, gets that award for regular season MVP. 100%. Without a doubt. But does that make him the best player in the league? No. I know it's crazy to say, he's the MVP of the league. He's the best player in the league. No, it's LeBron. hands down. Right now, it has to be, right? Just look at what's happening in the playoffs. And LeBron is not going for an MVP. Yeah, obviously he came out saying he was upset, and yeah, maybe he probably could have won it too, and maybe deserved a little bit more votes going his way. In his head, I feel like if I was LeBron, I'm not going for no stupid regular season MVP. I'm going for another Finals MVP. Go for another Finals trophy. That's what matters at this day and age. The way that these MVPs sort of get tossed around, like the definition of an MVP sort of gets tossed around so much, especially in the NBA. It's honestly like it's worth it. Yeah, LeBron. We look at Giannis, but then we look at Giannis, 2-time MVP. But then again, what has he really done? He's won the MVP twice, but has he had a ring on his finger? No. So,
yeah. Connor?
Yeah, I mean, Jane, you said it. Even though most valuable does not equate to is not the same thing as best player in the league. I mean, you look at most years LeBron hasn't won the MVP. You could make the argument that he's still the best player in the league.
Yeah.
So this isn't necessarily like, oh, LeBron's not doing enough. It's like, look at what Giannis did. He was DPOY. He led the best team in the league with the best regular season team in the league. Yeah. I mean, Josh Longstaff made the argument. So I mean, it's just that team, though his warts kind of did show. Actually, they did more than show. They sunk them against Miami in the second round. No team really had an answer in the regular season. And though people might say, oh, it should not just be regular season, by definition, that's what the voters are going off of. So, exactly. They got this one right. Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and say Giannis is better than LeBron or LeBron's better than Giannis, because that's a whole other hour debate that I probably want some more background on. But no, they got this one right. And Dane, I think
it's just simple. I kind of like you're saying you need more background. I think it's just simple as what we're looking at right now. Giannis is no longer in the playoffs. LeBron is. I think it's really as simple as that.
And okay, I get LeBron does have that clear number 2 in Anthony Davis, but I'm not really going to factor him into this. I think Davis was actually 5th in MVP voting. And it's a regular season award, and I understand you look back at it. Giannis lost in the conference finals. Then it was Harden, Russ, Steph. I know it's supposed to be a regular season award, and if you're going to make any changes, it'll be difficult to do it. But if LeBron ends up, and right now, again, he's the dead-on favorite, if he ends up strolling to the championship, wins a finals MVP, leading the league in assists, bringing a championship back to LA, and we look back on this in 10 years, and wow, that was such a big season for LeBron. He must have won MVP, right? Nope. And no disrespect to Giannis.
Honestly,
he might.
You think he's going to care about that at the end of the day if he's bringing back a Finals MVP to LA?
That's true, but
that's not keeping him up at night at all.
I'm not like Giannis. He deserves it. I get why he was Defensive Player of the Year, but it's tough because of what happened with Milwaukee and how bad their exit was, that we sort of forget about his greatness in the regular season. It's difficult.
I think it's fair to argue at this point that the Finals MVP might be more valuable than the MVP award.
Andre Iguodala won that in 14,
I know.
15,
I know. I was thinking about that too. Let me think of the past year. So, but that's the only one where I could think of where it's like, all right, that doesn't really make as much sense. But he did have a huge impact on the finals and winning the finals, which is arguably, if not that true, the most important stage where you want to perform. Not in the regular season. Yeah, you could go off in the regular season. But if you don't do it in the finals, it doesn't really matter. He did it in the finals. So in the biggest stage of them all, with all the eyes watching on you in a 7-game set and taking the Warriors to a victory, that's huge. So I think it might be fair to say that Finals MVP is trending to become a little bit more valuable than the MVP award.
It might be. And again, Giannis, I'm not going to get into the whole Giannis argument again, but Charles Barkley made a good point last night. Everyone's saying Giannis should leave, and some of us are saying that as well. Michael Jordan didn't win his first championship till 28, and I get this is a completely new era. Basketball players love to leave, but Giannis is 25. If he wants to win Milwaukee, there's enough. 100%.
Like, come on. He shouldn't be expected to bring a chip home like the first MVP or the second MVP he gets, because it took Jordan longer than most people remember too. Like, he had to run into those Pistons, and it took the Pistons getting old for him to finally get over the hump before he could continuously win all that time. Like, let Giannis and that team grow a little bit more. Like, he has a ton of weight on his shoulders.
The problem is, though, Middleton is not Scottie Pippen.
No, that's been proven. That's been proven the last two. And I mean, it's just tough because you signed him to that contract. You can't move him. you have very limited cap space for the pieces that you do end up moving. Granted, I think Chris Paul would be a great fit if they can somehow make that work, because I think Giannis needs a guard rather than a wing if he prefers one, who can really take over the scoring. But it's just that Bucks team.
It's tough. Jayden, you had something to say?
And like LeBron started the trend. Like you don't have to play for the team that you're drafted for. And obviously now Giannis is synonymous with the Bucks and whatever. But LeBron started that trend. He tried to do it with Cleveland the first time, couldn't get it done then, and ended up leaving and coming back. Obviously, came back and won it, and that's storybook ending there for him in Cleveland. But just because you're drafted to a place doesn't mean you're obligated your whole life to be there. But at the same time, you don't want to be a jerk about it, for lack of a better term, on leaving. You don't want to be like, oh, I hate this city. No, but you're like, hey, I'm leaving. And I think that's completely fair to say.
Yep. And LeBron, I think this is his second or third time coming second in the MVP voting. He does already have 4, and it's tough to believe that he'll get another one. You would have to believe if it's going to be another one, it's going to be next year, but you just don't know. There's so many young rising stars in the game. But before we get away from Giannis, pick to win MVP next year, early pick. You got one?
Luka Doncic.
Yeah, I was going to say Luka. Give me Luka.
Got it first.
Are we all in Luka?
Got it first.
Are we all in
As
agreement
of right
with
now,
Luka as our
Luka,
MVP?
give me a couple weeks. If we see Jason Tatum coming out party in the ECF or the finals,
Fair.
then I might switch.
Okay. I like that.
But
I'm thinking, guys, because
I think the voters kind of tend to favor the players with like less support, and it's like Tatum's got Brown, Kemba, Marcus Smart's really broken out, so I'm not denying that.
Yeah,
Luka.
I'd probably say Luka. I think Steph might get some like, oh, he's back, he's better than ever kind of bias.
No,
so.
I don't think they'll give it a Steph.
I'd put him as a dark horse.
No.
I don't see. I think Steph is still.
I think he gets more
in my
MVP
heart of
votes than
hearts,
Jason
but no.
Tatum next year.
Maybe. If he
Steph
stays
gets
healthy.
more
That's a
MVP
problem.
votes than Tatum. Yeah, give me that.
Yeah. Again, LeBron was second in MVP voting, but Connor, you said if he wins the Finals MVP, if he brings the championship back to LA, he will not care, and he's well on his way to doing that. Up 2-0 in the Western Conference Finals over the Denver Nuggets. Anthony Davis, Connor, you want in the rundown. Anthony Davis, very good at basketball. Indeed.
Confirmed.
Hey, we almost
Like
a
we
lot of people
forgot.
forget. Like Anthony Davis hit that buzzer beater last night, but if the Lakers lost, that would have been a shitty collapse. Oh my God, we're up by like 8 with a minute and a half left. What were we doing? But Davis hit the shot. We're up 2-0, and props to the Nuggets for coming back, but they're not coming back, right, Connor?
I would make sure that the Lakers win this one before. Dude, I'm
Connor?
not.
Yeah, you got to go up 3-0. You can't go if it's 3-1.
you
you might
gotta
as
go
well
up
kiss
3-0.
yourself goodbye.
You have to
Like,
go
Oh
up
my
3-0.
God.
you have to go up 3-0.
You have-
This next game might
You
be
have to
as
go up
important as a game
3-0.
7.
The
Because I'm not
Clippers-
saying, oh, Lakers are. Hey, I'm not saying like, oh, I'm not putting this into proof or anything that the Lakers are gonna win. Then they go up 3-1, and then I get Bucks and Ford.
Okay, gotcha.
You got to go.
Okay.
You got to go up 3-0. You have to.
You have to.
Okay, but listen, the thing with the Nuggets was they went down 3-1 to the Jazz. They just weren't playing hard, but they were the better team, right? They came back, they won. Give credit to the Jazz for playing hard that series. The Clippers, they had team chemistry problems. They were all over the place. We just talked about them. Their coaching, PG, Kawhi, pooped the bed. Now you have LeBron and Anthony Davis playing well in the playoffs to go along with
I
team
agree.
chemistry. The
Yeah.
Nuggets had an opportunity, and I'm not like they have that comeback ability, sure.
I'm agreeing
but
with you.
they
The Lakers
had
are a better team, but the Nuggets are
Yeah.
a better team when they're down 3-1. That's just facts. We saw
Yes,
it 2 series
because-
in a row. It is facts.
Here's the
But
thing.
I think the Lakers are going to win the series. But
Okay.
But if it goes 3-1, the Nuggets won. We got a shot.
All right. But listen, the Nuggets are having like Jokic and Murray are scoring a little bit, but the Lakers defense has just been good enough, and their role players, I'd give the edge to the Lakers. Rondo isn't scoring a ton, but the Nuggets need some more production from guys like Millsap, Grant, Gary Harris to hit shots, because the Lakers, they're doing what they did in the previous series. Caruso's been good. Kuzma's playing well in his role. He's not trying to force anything. KCP, Danny Green didn't shoot well last night, but he's doing some big things. And then Frank Vogel, again, we thought he was going to do this, but some nice coaching adjustments. Markieff Morris hasn't played as much like he did in the Houston series, where he was better against the small ball lineup. JaVale McGee and, in particular, Dwight Howard are getting more minutes, and they're making an impact. They're another big man inside that can bother Jokic for the time being. It just doesn't have to be Davis. He can play him at the 4, and he's a lob threat. So there are so many culminating factors right now. I'm going to say Lakers in 5 again. There's just so many factors that I just think the Lakers have this series in the bag right now, and that could come back to bite me. And if it does, so be it. But you can't expect LeBron to blow this type of lead on this big a stage.
Yeah, I think I will say this: the Lakers, once again, they haven't wowed me yet, but that's only because they're playing the brand of basketball that they should be playing. It's not like they're playing above themselves. They're playing exactly what they need to do in their winning games. The Nuggets have wowed me multiple times throughout this playoff series, and that's one reason why I still think there's still a glimmer of hope for the Nuggets. That you can never count them out. I wouldn't be saying this about any other team, but you really just can't, given what they have proven in recent history throughout these past 2 series. You just can't write them out of the story yet. It's going to come a time in this series, or I think you can, maybe when they're down 3-0 and it's sort of looking at the end of the line. But the Nuggets, they have shown some signs of breaking, especially in Game 1. They really didn't get the offensive production that they really wanted. Game 2, it started looking like it, but there's signs of breaking. Not broken, definitely not broken, but signs of breaking, and that's due to how well the Lakers are playing.
Here's my thing.
What's your prediction?
My prediction, I think Lakers in 5.
That's what I said.
Yeah, I think Lakers in 5.
Yes.
Maybe push it to 6. I don't think this gets to a Game 7 at all.
What about you, Connor?
I agree that it doesn't get to a Game 7. I think the Nuggets are good enough to take a game or 2. Like, I think they'll definitely put the pressure on LA at some point. Like, I'm gonna go.
It's very
Lakers
tough to beat a
in
team
6.
3 in a row, 4 in a row.
Exactly. I mean,
They
like
have to
the
win 4 out
Lakers,
of the
I don't
next
think
5.
anyone's denying that the Lakers are not the better team in this series, especially in a 7-game matchup. Especially like you have LeBron and AD, you have the 2 best players in this matchup, and then Dane, what you thought was going to be the Achilles heel is actually really one of the main reasons why they're up 2-0 in this series right now. Why they haven't lost since Game 1 against Houston. Their bench, their depth, it stepped up.
They're
Markieff Morris
playing into
last
their
series.
role.
KCP, Caruso this series, and also Dwight Howard Game 1. JaVale McGee was getting some good minutes too. This team is just a machine right now. It's the buzzsaw that everyone was scared that, they could flip the switch and turn on right now. And I know this Denver team is good enough offensively to like really make LeBron sweat a little in his sleep. Like Jamal Murray went 2 for 9 from 3-point in game 2. That's not going to happen every game. And
But the Lakers
all it takes
defense
is one more.
has been good.
The Lakers defense,
it's been
to
good
their
enough.
credit, they are playing good.
Yeah,
It has been good enough, but I'm also expecting Jamal Murray and Jokic, like these guys are offensive superstars. They're gonna steal a game or 2.
Okay, Jayden.
It's
what
not
was-
like,
only
oh,
reason
the-
I
it's not
laugh.
the Lakers aren't good enough defensively to stop that.
The only reason I laughed because we've had this conversation 2 times before, and we've proven wrong 2 times before. So literally,
But it's LeBron.
Exactly. Now it's LeBron, but we said that before. It was like, oh, it's Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. Oh, it's
And another thing I'm
Okay,
gonna say.
we weren't saying that about Rudy
there is
Gobert.
maybe not,
something-
but
we weren't
it's
saying that
Kawhi.
about
They'll be able to
Rudy
do it, but no.
There is something I
we've
wanna-
had this conversation before. Yeah, Dave.
There's something I want to point out about Denver that hasn't happened in the previous 2 series that happened in this series. Denver, they won Game 1 in a great overtime game. Both Murray and Mitchell dropped 50 bombs in Game 1 against Utah. Then Denver actually, they got blown out against the Clippers in Game 1. Then they came back and won Game 2, came back with a vengeance. Last night, I know they've came back from 3-1, but that was such a must-win in my eyes for Denver. They had the comeback going. Jokic put them ahead. They're going to steal a game. It's 1-1, series even. Who knows? But the Lakers, you take Game 1, whatever. The Nuggets they've been down 3-1. They haven't been down 2-0. And if you're going to get down against 2-0 of any of these teams, this is the last team you want to do it. Because LeBron sees that in his eyes. Shoot, I'm 2 games away from going back to the finals after I went for 8 straight years. I'm not messing up that opportunity. Put the chokehold on. When the Lakers got to 2 wins in the Houston series, they put the chokehold on. When the Lakers got to 2 wins in the Portland series, they put the chokehold on. Yes, Denver is better than both of those teams. They play better in the playoffs. Do I think they're going to take a game at some point? Yes. But LeBron's not messing this up. And again, Anthony Davis, he might win Finals MVP, but this is it. If the Lakers do not win the Finals, I will be genuinely very surprised. Credit to Boston, Miami. I don't know, but
the Lakers have what Utah and the Clippers don't have. They have that killer's mentality, especially led by LeBron too. It's not going to stop him, but last night was a must win for Game 2, especially in the manner that they lost. Inserting a lineup that has never played before. If you're going to throw
PJ Dozier in at the end. What?
Well, PJ Dozier had a good game, but Mason Plumlee putting him in, especially
Okay.
just to run around the perimeter, and I think that's more on Plumlee than Grant because it's been widely debated. Was Grant supposed to switch? Plumlee literally ran into LeBron. That should not have been a switch whatsoever because LeBron didn't even set a screen. He just kind of stood there.
The thing is,
and
though,
almost attracted both of them like a magnet.
they had the lead. Jokic gave them the lead, and they were coming back. And you think about that defensive possession. Green had a look, but Murray blocked him. That was a great defensive possession. And Jokic actually didn't play terrible defense on that play. And I know he's skinny now, but it was a good closeout. But Davis had so much room.
No, it was a great closeout, but that's just whenever better offense trumps all the defense you can throw at him. Because it was just perfect. The hand was right in his face, and it's Jokic, and AD is shooting that pretty generously beyond the 3-point line too. That's not an easy shot whatsoever. The Nuggets did force them into a tough shot. They just badly bungled that with Plumlee and Grant. That miscommunication right there, both on LeBron for no reason.
Yeah, and Anthony Davis actually said the play was supposed to go to LeBron. But I thought it was a must-win, and I'll say I think the Lakers are going to win it at this point. But personally, the only team that I think could stop them would be the team, whoever wins the Eastern Conference Finals, because they'll be hot, they'll be confident, they'll be young, they'll be hungry, and they can both shoot it a little bit and they can play defense. Boston and Miami, not short of superstars by any means. The Celtics, Jason Tatum, they pick up a huge win in Game 3 to prevent from going down 3-0. That would have ended their season, obviously. Connor, you're the only one that picked Miami. I assume you're staying with that pick. Again, they've looked fantastic. Jimmy Butler, man's on a mission. They play good defense. And again, no shortage of scoring. And even when Butler doesn't score, Miami still finds a way.
No, yeah, and that's kind of what my reasoning was whenever I made my initial pick, that even if Miami, Butler goes cold, it's not going to be the scenario where the Clippers, PG and Kawhi went cold. Miami has secondary scoring that you can count on. And that might not win you every single game at this time of the season, but it's sure as hell going to help you win. And then all you need is a couple chips in from Jimmy, from Harrow, from Goran. And next thing you know, you're up 2-0, up 2-1. I'm going to stick, obviously, with my Heat prediction. I said 7. I'm probably going to stick with that just because the Celtics did get Gordon Hayward back. And I kind of want to see how Miami kind of adjusts. Both teams really adjust to that because Boston has pretty much been playing a month without him against a decent Philly team and then a good Toronto team defensively. So how do they insert him back to the lineup without really throwing off the chemistry? Does Miami have to adjust really? So I think I'm going to stick with Miami in 7. 6 wouldn't shock me, but I'm still expecting the Heat to win this.
Okay, Jane.
I like how Gordon Hayward's back. That's for a fact. I love his mustache. That's also true. I think I'm gonna grow that one out myself. Very nice. But the Heat, I think, are just too strong at this point.
Whoa!
They really have full steam ahead of them, and I really do. And
talk about a change of perspective from.
I had to, man. I really had to, because I had it in front of me the whole time with the Bucks. I just didn't want to see it, and I see it again with the Celtics. And I do want to say Celtics in 7, but my heart doesn't feel that anymore. I just don't feel it anymore. Because
my heart does.
Only you really do think so? Now that with Gordon Hayward playing, because I just don't see it anymore from this Celtics team against this Heat. Any other team right now, I feel like the Celtics could do it, but the Heat are just too hot.
I understand that. But I'm going to say, obviously, next game's a must-win. They can't go down 3-1, but I think they're going to – I think they can do it. It's not like the games aren't close. This is a highly contested series. It's going to come down to the wire. Both teams are playing good basketball, and I assume whoever wins that is going to play the Lakers, and it's going to be really – that's going to be a tight series, whoever they play, because both teams play good defense. Boston has good defensive versatility that can defend – LeBron, new history this time.
Now.
And Miami just has so many. Miami has so many scores. But what helps me in my mind with the Lakers and Miami, and Connor, you mentioned it. What I thought would hurt them is actually helping them right now. Their depth is doing good things enough, and that's one of the things Miami has. Any guy could go off any night. So I'm still going to say Celtics in 7. That decision. Don't get me wrong. If Miami wins, I'm not going to be shocked. I hope I don't take heat for that. No pun intended. But it's They're a fantastic team. Give credit to Eric Spoelstra and Jayden. You got to give a lot of credit to Eric Spoelstra.
I do give a lot of credit to Eric Spoelstra. I was downplaying him a lot, and he proved himself once again to me. He had to. I wanted to see him do it without a LeBron, and he did it with Jimmy Butler, and I think that's fair. And not only with Jimmy Butler, but with a very young core. And I give him all the credit in the world. I really think it's awesome. And yep.
How many games?
How many games? What do you mean?
Heat Celtics.
Heat Celtics. I think this goes to 6. I think the Heat win it in 6.
That's a reasonable prediction.
I think the Heat are just too good right now. And either way, no matter what, how I see it as well is it's LeBron's always going to be in the narrative because it's either LeBron going against his old team, the Miami Heat, or it's LeBron and the Lakers going against the forever rival of the Boston Celtics. You know, it's gonna be great finals television.
It's difficult for me because I'm trying to think who poses the bigger challenge to the Lakers. Is it the Heat? Is it, Bam can help guard Anthony Davis? Or is it the Lakers bring in Dwight and JaVale to really guard Bam? No, not really. Because the Lakers they have to worry about so many of the other guys on the perimeter. So that's the thing. And then is Jimmy Butler going to guard LeBron? I would say Miami a little bit, even though Boston has all those wings. Like, do you want Daniel Tice guarding Anthony Davis?
At this point, Dane, how I see it is I don't think neither of the team are going to match up well against the Lakers. I think the Lakers are just going to be a better team than both of them. But I think the Lakers just have to beat themselves if they're going to end up losing this.
I think they'll win the finals.
They're playing really good right now, but if they fall off at the end, I know LeBron won't. But if the rest of the team does at the end, at the finals, that's will be the demise of the Lakers. I don't think it's going to be another team overpowering them. I think it's going to be the Lakers falling to themselves.
That's a good point, but I think the Lakers will win the finals. But this is like the Clippers were a team to sort of beat the Lakers, like specifically. But like Connor, tell me if I'm wrong. Miami and Boston, more specifically Miami, they're kind of like they have a lot of similarities to sort of small ball Houston, but a gritty guy like Jimmy Butler, sort of like Westbrook, but can shoot it a little bit better.
I wouldn't say that.
Sort of like Jimmy Butler.
Small ball.
Okay.
I wouldn't say Rockets either.
No, listen. Similarities to the small ball in being that they have a lot of shooters that can, and they move the ball very well at times. But
and they don't really have a traditional center, sure.
Yeah. Yes, but they
I
have
compare
a big.
Any team to the Rockets.
I know. No. I'm not. The similarities, but they have an all-star big. That's the main difference. And Butler is different.
So you're saying
I love how you're saying, I'm not comparing them. I'm just pointing out the similarities. Like, what's the difference between that two?
They're different.
Can't really compare any team to the Rockets. They're too different from any other team in the league.
Jimmy Butler's like a leveled up version of Russ that can shoot it a little better. That's a little bit.
Let's just stop. Let's just stop before
and then you add Bam.
Russell Westbrook's a completely. No, I don't compare Russell Westbrook to any other person in the NBA. He's his own person.
And don't even try and tell me Tyler Herro is like a young James Harden.
Oh yeah.
No, he's not. Okay.
Yeah. No. Those two players I really can't compare to anybody else in the league because they're really their own player.
Yeah. Oh man, it'll be interesting. I don't know. I mean, it's a tough matchup.
I think Miami poses a better matchup just because their defensive versatility, and they have I think more consistent scoring. Even though Boston has a higher offensive ceiling, I just think Boston. It's like Miami just feels like that it team, you know? Like, I don't think they're beating the Lakers if they get there and if the Lakers get to that point. But it's like just these certain teams, like you can kind of feel it while you're watching them. Like the Nuggets, they're running into the Lakers, but you almost could feel that the comeback was on, it was going to happen while watching that Clippers series. You could almost feel that the Heat were going to win against the Bucks, and they just kept that moxie against the Celtics in the first 2 games.
Yeah, and we'll have to see. And I'm going to pose a question before we sort of start to head out. LeBron ends up winning his 4th title, and I'm sure we'll talk about this. How close does that bring him to,
To that guy?
To that guy.
To that guy?
To that guy. How
Some people say he's already past that guy. So this is a conversation for a whole other day.
If he wins that one, if he wins, that conversation is going to explode. And it's going to be such bad recency bias that there's going to be so many more LeBron lovers.
That is a nuclear hypothetical.
The thing is that
question.
guy didn't lose any of those games, of
I know.
those series. You know.
I know that black cat, as Reggie Miller says.
I know it's really going to be tough. I don't know. This is a whole nother conversation for a whole nother. If we do this we will be here till.
Yeah, we got to see how if he wins and
class.
how he wins first. Like, come on, he has to get like another convincing win. I think.
Yeah.
But is he going to be without Anthony Davis the rest of his career? Like Anthony Davis, everyone will point and say, "Oh, it was him that," because he can win Finals MVP.
I can't wait to see the LeBron.
We're all
Last
talking
Dance.
about this. I need to stop talking about the Lakers just being in the finals.
Yeah, they're gonna jinx.
Let's
them.
let's
They're
just
losing
like
3-1
let's win
now.
the Nuggets series.
Denver Nuggets versus Boston Celtics finals now. Way to will it into
Stop.
existence.
That would be
just
the
from
most
jinxing.
boring series.
No,
Denver
that would be so
not.
exciting. The Denver
No, that would
Nuggets,
not.
the team
Dude,
that
Taco
the
Fall
team-
versus Bull in the
dude.
finals.
the team that we wrote off. Literally, we spoke about this before, but the team that we wrote off when we did our first round predictions for the NBA playoffs, we barely even talked about the Nuggets Jazz series, and now look where they are in the Western Conference Finals. Like, the fact that they made it from barely being talked about because we just didn't really care about them that much, and now forcing us to care about them is really saying a lot. Really, really saying a lot.
Yeah, it is. But like, I'm thinking about it like NBA, like just like regular fan wise. Like we're.
What would have been
tuned into the
boring
league.
would have been the Nuggets
Lakers,
Rockets.
Celtics,
That would have been boring.
Well, yeah, but if it's
in the
Lakers
Western
Celtics,
Conference.
like Lakers Heat, Lakers Celtics, like.
Well,
with
yeah,
everything going on,
storyline
we're getting a
wise.
bad
I'm
matchup.
thinking like
You're talking to the professional wrestling fan. Storyline wise, you couldn't have wrote it better for LeBron. He's going over no matter what because he's either beating the coach that he won a championship with, or he's aligned with a group that hates this other group. So and he's
they don't hate each other. They don't hate each other.
They don't hate each other, but the history behind these two teams.
Yes.
Back in the day, my grandpa, he knows that whole story with the Lakers and Celtics. It no matter what LeBron wins. No matter what LeBron wins in this story, no matter what.
I'm just thinking last year the ratings were like at a real low in the
still gonna be
Toronto
low.
Golden State series. Yeah, but if it's Lakers Heat or Lakers Celtics, especially if it's Lakers Celtics,
Don't
you
matter.
can't tell me there's gonna raise. They're gonna. The LeBron's in the finals. Like, how can
Football's
they
on
not?
TV, by the way, that's the only thing.
Oh shoot!
Dude, football's on TV. World Series is coming soon.
Oh, never
I don't know if
mind.
that's a ways away, but the ratings are still going to be screwed out the wall.
I just thought about that.
We
You're
love
right.
basketball as much as, but you're competing with Sunday night, Thursday night, Monday night. You ain't touching
it's
that.
tough for the
You're not
media.
touching
Everyone's
football.
ratings are gonna go down then.
No one's exactly unless football's not. That's the only thing that's not. For anything,
know
football's
what?
going up because you can't be in the stadium. Literally,
You know whose ratings are gonna go up, especially on YouTube. You know whose ratings are going up?
dribbling around.
Dribbling around.
Of course,
Ours.
without a shadow of a doubt.
Hey, catch it. Hey, updates coming soon. Probably on our Instagram page. Keep an eye out for posts. Might try and be on VIC. Maybe try and get back on there. And might be a little slow coming. We got school starting back up. I know we've been complaining a little bit about homework, things like that, but we're students out here. We're not just podcast people.
We're not student athletes. We're student podcasters. That's the term. Student
Even better.
podcasters. Look at
Student
us.
podcasters. Hey,
Student
man.
athletes. Student podcasters.
It's gonna be
That's
funny.
where it's at.
It's gonna be funny. We're gonna be on TV one day, and then they're gonna show us. They're gonna show us talking like idiots, and
Our very sad Zoom call,
it'll be
yes.
funny. Connor, you're gonna be a host for some NBA show, and your color analyst is gonna be Paul George.
And we're like, poopy pee.
and they're
I'm just
gonna
gonna have to
please,
explain to him why he's been on the stink list for like 25 years.
Yes, that would be the most golden thing. I would watch from afar, and I would not stop laughing. Oh my god, that is dream scenario. Paul George.
I see that.
Paul George and Connor. Connor, why don't you close out the show? You
I was waiting for
doing?
one of y'all.
No? No bueno?
I don't care. This is a pretty short show. It's only like 40 minutes.
I think that's okay. I think we need one.
No, that's fine.
Eh,
Yeah,
that's
we've been
okay.
going
We
long
ha-
the last couple of times.
Yeah, I got homework to do. Brain, fresh cut, we're working.
Brain fresh cut.
Okay, he shaved his brain.
Hey,
no
man.
cut for
Dude,
me.
you should give yourself like the Charlie Puth eyebrow.
What is that? Like a
You just like
Okay,
you shave a dash through it.
Whenever I don't think now I was just wearing my glasses all day, but like usually when like I start to get hair here, I just wear my glasses for the day. It covers it up. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
It's a
You're
good
talking
idea.
to the guy with the thickest eyebrows around. That's just the style.
How
I don't
often-
got
how
no
often-
glasses.
How often you got to shave that middle?
I pluck, or not too often. I
you gotta
try to make
pluck.
sure. Yeah, you got to pluck.
You gotta
Sometimes
pluck.
if
You
I'm
do
on
it-
a rush, I have to. But
You do it yourself?
Yeah, of course. It hurts.
No,
but-
fun fact. First time I had to shave my eyebrows, I tried to do it. I used a razor. I was like 13, and I like cut it, and I just started bleeding down my face.
Oh, Harry Potter type of beat.
Yeah, and then I was like frustrated because it was really getting bad. I'd never done it before. I was in like 7th grade. So then I called my 10th grade sister, and I'm like, "Hey, can you come do that?" She did it for like the next 3 years. Fun fact.
Wow.
My sister plucked my
No
eyebrows
love.
till I was like 16.
I taught myself how to shave, and I think I do a pretty good job.
That's
I haven't
not that
shaved in a little bit.
hard.
No, but to get it tight,
Mm-hmm.
because I've seen some people shave, and like this is me like 5 days in, right? So some people are like this after they shave, fresh shave. This is like shadow.
Yeah.
So you gotta go down everything, and then you have to turn the razor around. So let's say here's a Roku remote. You go down, and then you gotta flip it around, and then go up the other way against the grain. That's how I get it like a baby's bottom. Very
Can
nice.
I need a class on that when I
Okay.
get back to school.
All right, I'll teach everybody how to shave.
Shaving
nice.
lessons from Jayden.
Also,
Multi-talented man.
tying a tie I learned by myself as well, which was.
Oh, I did not.
That's
And
all
that-
for
that was-
episode 19 of
That's-
Dribbling Around. Thanks for sticking around.
What?
We're gonna let you get out of here early.
We need to
maybe
put a
practice some of those
tutorial.
Shaving techniques.
A tutorial? Jaden
It's
and
the
James.
basketball talk show.
Dane and James
Basketball talk show. Basketball talk show. Save that for Newswatch, guys. That's all for us this week.
Catch us
Might
reporting
try
on
and do
Thursdays.
some fun
Jaden and I.
stuff for- yeah, exactly. Might try and do some fun stuff for the finals whenever that stuff starts. So make sure to follow us on all our socials. Thanks for getting us to 200 followers too. We
yeah.
appreciate that.
Huge.
Like, share, comment, and all that stuff. For Dane, Jaden, myself, thanks for watching. See you next time. Don't do that, man.
Okay.
Don't do that.
All right.